Pain brought to speech turns to energy.
Say that again?
Pain brought to speech turns to energy. Pain brought to speech turns to energy. Pain not brought to speech turns to violence. So if you take the liberation movements of civil rights movement or feminism or
Matthew Fox.
gay lesbian, Matthew Fox, every one of them begins with the communal processing of pain. It turns to energy.
So
and
that,
of course, that's how the Exodus begins. I was taught in seminary that God takes all initiatives, but that's not how the Exodus story starts. The Exodus story starts out by saying they groaned and cried out, and their cry summoned God into the narrative. If they had not cried out, there'd have been no Exodus. It is empirically true. And what the empire doesn't mind if you have pain. The empire minds if you bring it to speech.
the empire sees pain as a developmental opportunity.
That's right. That's right.
And there's something wrong with you.
That's right.
So I get a lot of pressure. A lot of people trying to sell me joy.
That's right.
And I say, I don't do joy.
What the church has done is to transpose pain into guilt. And then it's your fault.
Beautiful.
Probably.
See, that is so powerful. Just that.
Yeah.
We should just be silent for a year after having said
Yeah.
that. Because what came to mind as you were speaking that was that grief then becomes a legitimate action step.
That's right.
What do we do about it? Well, we don't engage in a program to eliminate pain.
That's right.
That medicalizes pain.
That's right.
That what you say is that first you give voice to it, and you
Yep.
call it a grief cry.
That's right. That's right.
You cry out the pain, and you let it sit there. And you do it in public. See, the privatization means I have to take my pain to a professional.
That's right.
Dirty laundry. Don't hang out your dirty laundry. And so people in our family said, Peter, you shouldn't talk that way in public. So the public naming of
That's right.
pain is a political act. It deprivatizes my suffering.
That's right.
And you're saying this is what God needed to pay attention.
That's right.
And so people say, what are you going to do about that? I say, we're going to grieve. This is what your world understands. It's an action step. How long does it take? Exactly. It takes exactly how long it takes. Well, what do you because the empire wants an action plan.
That's right.
So if there's a death in a company, well, that's why we have succession planning. So death has no institutional consequences. It's quite amazing. And when they fly in their private jets, often they can't fly together because they don't have successors worked out. And so when people die, an announcement is made, but most of the announcement is who's taking their place.
Long live the king.
Long live the king. And so I think what you said is just stunning. It needs to be named in a communal and public.
There's a Scandinavian scholar has shown that in all the lament psalms, except one verse that he handles, there is no confession of guilt. It's pain.
That's an amazing distinction.
And these These are the Psalms that the church refuses to use.
This is what you're busy publicizing.
Over and over and over and over.
And you have to do it over and over.
That's right.
Because as soon as you go public with the pain, it starts to change in your experience of it.
Yeah.
So pain no longer means there's something wrong with me. It means that I need us. It's as soon as it goes public, then we're all experiencing something. So I'm closer to you and each other. So the communal cost of empire is isolation, and we're isolated in ways we haven't dreamed of. Al Mansky, who's worked his life towards people with disabilities, daughter and everything. So his daughter has Down syndrome, who's graduated college, very successful young woman, artist. He says she suffers now from being lonely as much now as she ever did. So it tells me that culturally we're producing deep isolation. That's why like-mindedness sells so well. Because it's a false substitute for loneliness.
That's right.
And so in the naming of it, it goes public. And then also, I think it's political because it's reauthorizing whose voice counts.
That's right.
And as soon as it goes public, it creates space where I'm not owned by the pain. I own the pain.
That's right.
And that gives me choice about it.
That's right.
And so so even in the naming,
Yep.
that Walter, when he says that to us, invites our prophetic voice.
Yep.
You say we all have to publicly name. And in the naming of the pain, Pharaoh loses power.
That's right. The way that works in the Exodus narrative is that when the pain summons God, then God appears in the burning bush, and 6 verses later, God says to Moses, "You go to Pharaoh." So there's this little appearance of God between the pain and going to Pharaoh, but both of those are human actions. God performs an authorizing function.
So what happens in those 6 in the interim? What's going
Well,
on there?
God says, "Take off your shoes, it's holy ground." And then God says, "I have seen your affliction, I know your pain, I will come down and deliver you, I will bring you to a good land." So you get that spasm. And then the next verse he says to Moses, "You go to Pharaoh."
Exactly.
That I am going to do this by you acting.
Awesome. And in my thinking, I'm saying, and all of that we constructed also.
That's right.
So we constructed, because you teach me that we expect much too little of God.
Yep. That's right.
We're too easy on God. We let
Yep.
God off the hook.
That's right.
So when I hear that, I say, so we're in the process of constructing God.
Yep.
So even the God that promised to protect and provide me in the wilderness, even that God I had a hand in constructing.
That's right.
That I said, I'm going to imbue in you, God, the powers to heal,
Yep.
take care of us.
Yep.
Now I'll go to Pharaoh.
Yep. Michael Walzer has written a book showing that the Exodus narrative is behind every modern revolution. And the last page of his book, he says, he numbers them 1, 2, 3. 1, wherever you are is Egypt. 2, there's another place to go. And then the last sentence of the book says, the only way to get there is by marching.
Awesome. Right. And marching doesn't mean leaving home.
No.
Marching doesn't mean going to the square and protesting against Pharaoh.
That's right.
Marching is an act, I would say, is an act of together recreating
That's
an
right.
alternative.
That's right.
This is Buckminster Fuller's wisdom. He says you don't argue against that world, you create an alternative.
That's right. That's right.
And so that's the job of the faith community. is to-
Interesting how so God's "I will release you, I will now you do it."
That's right.
Is like such a counterintuitive for the empire, because if he's God, just do it.
That's
Get him
right.
out of there. Right now you do it, and you're unwilling. I have to convince you to do it because you don't want to do it, but I'm going to work through you. And that's the community. That's participation.
That's right.
when, as even church and faith-based organizations, we are wanting to be like God.
That's right.
And so we help the people who need help. And so we
Exactly.
you need us, you know, and God's, well, and so people aren't participating in the restoration
That's right.
of their own story, their own communities. And
That's right.
we do this.
Yep. That's right.
But that's the norm.
That's right.
And it's like,
It's the habit. It's the
yeah,
empirical habit or protocols that we participate in. And
So I don't know how often, but Jesus says after he heals somebody, he doesn't say, "I have healed you." He said, "Your faith has made you whole. You did that."